just want to break this down now by team. I'll start with Georgia because they won. It's in the talk of town. It's the Carson Beck issue. He now has 8 picks in his last 3 games. It's now 11 on the season. It's unacceptable by any stretch of the means. He has completely neutralized his draft stock if we're looking in the future. I mean, he came into this season as potentially the number 1 overall pick in the draft, as QB1 on the board, and he has now fallen, I'd say he's fallen out of the first round, possibly out of the second round. He's probably looking now like a 3rd or 4th rounder at this point. Like, this is really hurting him in the draft world. I mean, it's to me, it feels like, and I said this a couple weeks ago, like it feels like he's putting way too much pressure on himself. But whether it be all the outside factors, whether it be the NIL, personal life, whether it be just, you hear all this preseason hype and you just think that you got to be the Superman and you don't really need to be. You just need to take what they're giving you. He's not doing that, and he's just making decisions that we didn't see him make last year. This is a guy that had, I believe, 6 interceptions on the whole season last year. Never had a multi-interception game. He now becomes the first SEC quarterback to win multiple games when throwing 3+ interception games in the SEC. Back-to-back weeks, he's thrown for three interceptions, and they won the game. It's not sustainable by any stretch of the means, and it's got to get fixed. I mean, the first interception he threw, I don't know where in the hell he was looking. He tried to get it to London Humphreys, who was on the sideline right there on the boundary, and he wasn't open, and he didn't see the defender kind of just almost baiting him as he looked like he was up front, and he just backed up to make the play. It was a throw that needed to be thrown away. I was watching it. I had where I am, obviously where the video is. You can see here. Look, I'm going to play this video. All right. So, look, if you can see here, I don't know, wherever. See, if I had a pointer, that'd be sweet. See if we can get a pointer on here. I don't think I can. Anyway, if you can just kind of see on that sideline right here, left side, and you can kind of just get an idea, like if there's nobody open on this side, left side along the sideline, and you're scrambling that way, wouldn't the most obvious thing be to just throw it away? You would think that, right? And that's just what I mean, from my perspective, that's what I'm looking at. The offense is going that way. I'm like, just throw it away, and he does it, and it becomes a terrible pick, which set up the touchdown. And then the next pick, again, he's just not seeing guys. They're dropping back into zone, it feels like, and he's just not seeing the guys that are underneath waiting for him to bait him. Beck loves to throw the ball up the seams. He just loves to do it, and which is nice to see because as a Steelers fan, you don't see it very often. They love pushing the boundaries. So you see quarterbacks throwing up the middle, which is awesome. Well, when they're baiting you to throw it there and you're still trying to thread the needle, it's not sustainable. You can't do that. You just have to know, hey, it's not there. I'm going to find a guy. Maybe if I'm going to find my running back or tight end that's just kind of waiting over here in the emergency safety spot that I know I can dump off for a few yards. Live to fight another day. That needs to be his mantra now going forward. Live to fight another day. Do not force the football. It's too bad. I mean, he is holding this team back. This game had no business being this close. Georgia outgained them in every major statistic in this football game. They had over 500 total yards of offense. They had over 300 yards passing. They had over 140 yards rushing the football. No excuse why this game was this close. It's because of the multiple turnovers. He almost threw a 4th turnover before the Pyburn one, which went right through the hands of George Gums. That could have been another killer. And again, that was up the middle trying to force something. It wasn't there. It is not sustainable. Now, I also came up with this weird theory of mine that Georgia is throwing the ball on average 5 to this point. So last year they threw a ball about 32 times a game. This year they're throwing the ball right now. They're throwing it 37 times a game on average. In the last 3 games, keep in mind he has 8 interceptions the last 3 games. Last 3 games they have 43 passing attempts. Maybe it's just law of averages saying, like, listen, if you're going to throw the ball 43 times a game, he threw the ball 40 times on Saturday. They're averaging 43 attempts over the 3 games. Maybe you're just more susceptible. The law of averages would just say that, hey, you're just more susceptible to interceptions. That's just what happens when you throw the ball. I just think it could be a mix of that, but I think it's more just a mix of he's putting way too much pressure on himself. He may not say it. He says all the right things in the presser. He knows better. He's owning up to it, which you love to see from a guy. He wants to do everything he can to help this team win ball games. But the best thing he can do, because he's too talented to be doing this, is just to be throwing balls into coverages and to spots that aren't there. If there's nobody there, don't throw it. Don't force it. I would rather him take a sack and then to him just toss one up and just hopefully they drop it, because he's not even, these windows aren't even there. And he's continuously trying to force it when it's not there. And if he does it this weekend against Ole Miss, this isn't an offense that's gonna let you off the hook. Now, this is like that would be similar to the Bama game. You can't be just throwing the ball willy-nilly and hoping that, you just hope your defense bails you out. Now, I will say it's obviously the responsibility is going to fall back on the quarterback. But when your receivers aren't helping you, there was a 3rd and 2 of the 4th quarter, one of the 3 and outs that Florida forced. Georgia runs the ball twice. And I said they need to run the ball again. They don't. Beck makes a check at the line. I believe it's Dominic. So Dominic Lovett and Dylan Bell are on the left side. Dylan Bell goes to block. Dominic Lovett is supposed to kind of just go bubble screen out to the left, make it for a quick screen because they're blitzing. Instead, he goes slant, and Beck just throws it where he's supposed to be, throws it away. He's not there, obviously. Like, these are mistakes and communication errors that cannot be happening. This is not a guy that's in his first year in this system. This is the same system they ran last year. He needs to know better. Dominic Lovett had a good game, too. Had the touchdown, had led the team in catches. He has to play better. Has to know better. The communication's got to get better. Receiver drops are still an issue. Now, I can tally off a few off the top of my head. I thought you had a good game from the tight ends. I thought the running backs played really well. But the communication and the drops and the poor decision from the quarterback spot, it's still a massive issue. It needs to get fixed, and it needs to get fixed right away. This 2-game stretch they have coming up with Ole Miss and Tennessee will define their season. They will either pass it with flying colors and go on to Atlanta and play for the SEC title game, or they're going to fight for their life against some prime defenses and some high-flying offenses, and they're not going to win. I hope that we see the first option where they figure it out and they get rolling. It's not that difficult. I mean, obviously it's easier to say. It's easier to say than actually be done, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not like this isn't rocket science here. He's playing good football. He has a really good high completion percentage. He's like a 66 completion percentage passer, but the turnovers have got to get cut down. I'm always okay with, like, you throw one up, deep shot, defender makes a great play on the ball. That is what it is. But when we're just throwing it right to him, and all he has to do is put his hands up and catch it, that's not no-go. So it's got to get cleaned up. Hopefully it's cleaned up. We'll see going into Saturday.